Every week is a new chance to start again. Not just to survive the days ahead, but to grow, to get stronger, and to become more focused. If you've been feeling stuck, unmotivated, or distracted, this is your reminder. It's not too late. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You just need to take the first step with purpose. This week can be different if you decide to make it different. Small, consistent actions lead to big changes over time. But it starts with you showing up on day one with a clear mind and a strong heart. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be honest with yourself and committed to what matters. Don't drift through another week. Take control. Start strong. Focus on what counts. You've got more in you than you think. Let this be the week you prove it to yourself. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with a clear plan to start every week stronger, more focused, and more committed than ever. Let's get into it. Number 1, reflect on last week with honesty and calm. Most people start their week in a rush. They move so quickly into the next thing that they never stop to understand what happened the week before. They wake up Monday morning already tired, already anxious, already feeling behind. That is not how strong people begin a new week. That is not how people who want real progress show up to life. You need to create space before you move forward. You need to pause and reflect on what just happened. This is where personal growth starts. If you skip reflection, you skip wisdom, you skip clarity, you skip the opportunity to do better. You have to begin with truth. Not excuses, not stories, not distractions. Just truth. Honest truth about how you lived the last 7 days. This takes courage. It takes maturity. Because you are going to face your own patterns. You're going to face your own decisions. And sometimes that's uncomfortable. But if you want change, that discomfort is necessary. Sit down somewhere quiet. Put your phone away. Block out the noise. Give yourself 10 or 15 minutes with nothing but your thoughts and a notebook. Ask yourself one question first. How did last week actually go? Not how do I feel about it emotionally? Not what do I want to believe? Just what really happened. What did I say I would do? Did I do it? Where did I make progress? Where did I lose focus? You are not judging yourself. You are becoming aware. Awareness is power. Once you see something clearly, you can do something about it. But if you avoid it, if you pretend it did not happen, then you have no control over it. You stay stuck in the same loop, and every week begins to feel the same. You wake up on Monday with no fire, no focus, no direction, because you never stopped to learn anything from the week before. That's not how you move forward. If you worked hard last week, then give yourself credit. Celebrate it. Don't skip over your effort. Don't say it was nothing. No, it matters. Write it down. Be specific. I woke up early 5 days. I exercised 3 times. I finished that project I kept avoiding. I had a tough conversation with someone I care about. List your wins clearly. This builds self-respect. It reminds you that you are showing up for your life. It reminds you that you are not just thinking about change. You are doing something about it. Now look at what went wrong. Be gentle but firm. Did you waste time on your phone? Did you let one bad mood ruin your whole day? Did you skip your habits even when you had time? Did you undersleep? Did you let other people's drama distract you from your own priorities? Call it out. Not because you want to beat yourself up, but because you want to grow. You are responsible for your life, and responsibility starts with recognition. If you do not name the problem, you cannot fix the problem. Some people feel ashamed when they face their patterns, but shame does not help. What helps is clarity. You say, yes, I did that. Yes, I avoided that. Yes, I broke that promise to myself. Now I understand why I felt stuck. Now I know what needs to change. That is growth. That is maturity. Write down what you learned. Not just what happened, but what it taught you. Maybe you learned that you need to stop checking your phone first thing in the morning. Maybe you learned that you need to sleep earlier or eat better. Maybe you realized that you are spreading yourself too thin. Maybe you saw that you are spending time with people who leave you feeling drained. These are important lessons. Write them down. Keep them in front of you. Now, based on all of this, Ask one more question. What will I do differently this week? What one small change can I make right now based on what I saw last week? It does not have to be big. In fact, the smaller and clearer the better. Instead of trying to fix everything, pick one thing and commit to it fully. That is how real change starts. You take what you learned and you apply it over and over again. Reflection also builds self-trust. Every time you stop and look back with honesty, you send a message to yourself that you care. You are not drifting through life. You are choosing. You are thinking. You are adjusting. That's how leaders live. That's how winners build strong lives. Not by being perfect, but by being aware, by being willing to look back so they can move forward with strength. And remember this, you cannot create a great life by accident. You cannot build character, discipline, or peace by staying distracted. You have to be intentional. You have to stop and think. You have to look at what's real. That is what makes you strong. That is what gives you an edge. That is what separates you from the crowd. Reflection gives you the truth, and the truth gives you your next step. Do not run from it. Do not delay it. If you want to begin the week with power, then begin with reflection. It is quiet. It is simple, but it changes everything. Because when you see the last week clearly, you walk into the new one ready to improve, ready to show up, ready to live like it matters. Number 2, write down 3 clear weekly priorities. Clarity is strength. When you begin your week, one of the most powerful steps you can take is to decide what truly matters right now. Don't keep your mind cluttered with 20 different ideas pulling you in different directions. That leads to confusion, stress, and burnout. If everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. The goal is not to stay busy. The goal is to move with purpose. You need focus. You need direction. You need 3 clear things that matter most this week. And you need to write them down, not in your head. Not as a passing thought. Write them down with your own hand on real paper. Use a notebook, a journal, a card, whatever you want. But make it visible. The act of writing makes your mind slow down. It forces you to think. It demands that you choose. You can't write everything, you have to narrow it down. That's where the power is. Most people try to do too much. They overload their week with 15 goals and accomplish none. 3 is a powerful number. You can remember it. You can measure it. You can stay committed to it. Think about where you are in your life right now. Think about what needs your attention. Think about what would move your life forward this week. Not someday. Not later. This week. Ask yourself, if I could only complete 3 things this week, what would they be? What would make me feel like I took control of my time? What would make a real difference in my personal growth, in my health, in my relationships, in my finances, in my discipline? Pick 3 things that matter. Not 3 things that are easy. Not 3 things that make you look good. Pick 3 things that you know you need to do. Maybe you've been avoiding them. Maybe they've been sitting on your list for too long. Maybe they're uncomfortable but necessary. That's how you grow. That's how you get momentum. You face what matters, and you commit to it fully. Your priorities can be different every week. Some weeks it might be about finishing a big task at work. Other weeks it might be about fixing something in your routine. One week your priority might be to spend more time with your kid. Another week it might be to create a budget and stick to it. There's no perfect list. It's about what's real for you right now. What needs to get done so you can move to the next level. When you write your priorities, be specific. Don't write something vague like, be productive or get better. That's not a real priority. Write something you can measure. Instead of read more, write read 50 pages of a new book. Instead of be healthier, write eat home-cooked meals 5 days this week. Be clear. Be direct. You're not writing a dream, you're writing a plan. Once you've chosen your 3 priorities, build your week around them. These are not extra tasks. These are the foundation of your week. Your schedule, your energy, your decisions, they should all support these 3 things. Look at your calendar. Block out time for each priority. Protect that time. Don't let distractions steal it. Don't let minor tasks get in the way. If something is truly a priority, it deserves space in your life, not just in your thoughts. Some people write priorities and then forget them by Tuesday. That doesn't work. You need to keep them in front of you. Review them every morning. Remind yourself what matters. Ask yourself if your actions are matching your intentions. This keeps you grounded. It keeps you honest. It keeps you from drifting. And don't change your priorities midweek unless something urgent demands it. Stick with what you chose. There's power in commitment. When you jump from one task to another, you lose progress. But when you stay focused, even on just 3 things, you build momentum. You start to see results. You start to feel stronger. You start to trust yourself more. That's how confidence is built, through completion, not through endless activity. It's also important to reflect on why you chose each priority. What does it mean to you? Why does it matter? What will change in your life if you follow through on it? Connect each task to something deeper. Don't just say, exercise 3 times. Say, exercise 3 times because I want to have more energy and discipline. That reason gives your action meaning. And meaning fuels consistency. Not every task you do this week is going to change your life. But these 3 priorities, if you take them seriously, can shift your momentum. They remind you that you are in control of your time, that you are capable of doing what matters, that you are not here to survive another week. You are here to make it count. Don't wait for motivation to do this. Do it because it's necessary. Motivation comes and goes, but structure, intention, and clarity, those keep you going. When you start your week with 3 written priorities, you take control of your direction. You stop reacting. You start creating. You stop feeling overwhelmed. You start feeling focused. That shift in mindset changes how you show up, how you work, and how you live. Number 3, plan your time before the week starts. One of the most effective ways to take control of your life is to plan your time before the week even begins. Don't leave it to chance. Don't wait until Monday morning to figure things out. If you wake up at the start of the week without a plan, you're already behind. Time doesn't wait. If you don't give it direction, it will get filled with distractions, interruptions, and meaningless activity. Most people don't manage time. They react to it. That's why their days feel chaotic and stressful. You have to be different. You have to become someone who takes time seriously. You have to sit down and plan how your week is going to go. This doesn't mean packing every minute or cramming every hour. It means deciding ahead of time where your focus should go. If you don't decide, someone else will. Life is full of demands. People will ask for your time. Notifications will pull your attention. The world will throw things at you constantly. Without a plan, you'll get caught up in things that don't serve you. You'll get to the end of the week wondering where your time went. But when you plan with intention, you take your time back. You start living with control. Start with a simple overview. Look at your calendar and mark the fixed appointments or responsibilities you already have. Work hours, meetings, classes, important events. Write them down first. These are your non-negotiables. Then look at the spaces around them. That's your opportunity. That's the time you get to decide how to use. If you don't claim it now, it will get lost in meaningless tasks. This is where planning becomes powerful. This is where you take ownership of your schedule. Now think about the priorities you already wrote down. These are the things that must happen this week. Not maybe, not someday. This week, put them on the calendar. Block out real time to work on each one. Don't just say, I'll do it when I get time. That's how things get pushed aside. That's how people lose focus. Instead, create space for them. Treat that time with respect. The same way you'd show up for a doctor's appointment or a job interview, you show up for yourself. That's how self-respect grows, by keeping the appointments you make with yourself. Be realistic with your time. Don't overbook. Don't pretend you can do 10 things in one day. That leads to frustration. Instead, give yourself enough time to do each thing well. It's better to do a few things fully than to rush through many things poorly. Quality over quantity. Progress over perfection. Planning isn't about being rigid. It's about being intentional. Leave room for life. Leave space to rest, to reset, to breathe. But know exactly what your plan is. Think through your mornings. How do you want to start each day? Don't roll out of bed into chaos. Don't check your phone first thing. Decide now what your first hour of the day should look like. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's writing or learning. Decide ahead of time. Write it down. Set the tone for your days on purpose. A strong morning sets the rhythm for a productive day. Do the same for your evening. How will you wind down? What time do you need to go to sleep to wake up with energy? When will you unplug from distractions? Make decisions before the moment comes, because in the moment, emotions will pull you off track. But if you've planned ahead, you're more likely to follow through. A good week starts with good structure. And structure is something you build, not something you find. Don't forget to plan for rest. This is not laziness. This is strategy. Burnout comes from pushing non-stop, without pause. You're not a machine. You're a human being. You need space to recharge. Schedule time to do something that gives you peace. Maybe it's time in nature. Maybe it's time with family. Maybe it's silence and solitude. Whatever it is, plan it. You don't have to earn your rest. You need it to stay strong. Make it part of your weekly rhythm and look ahead. Is there anything coming this week that might throw you off? A challenge, a conflict, a potential distraction. Prepare for it now. Don't wait for surprises. If you know there's a difficult conversation coming, think through what you need to say. If you know your energy dips midweek, build in something to refuel yourself. Planning is about removing decision fatigue. It's about making the important choices early, so you don't waste energy on them later. The more you plan, the more peace you create. You don't have to live in constant stress. You don't have to wonder what's next. You know what to do, when to do it, and why it matters. That creates confidence. That builds discipline. That gives you clarity. And clarity is one of the most underrated forms of strength. When you know what you're doing and why, you stop being pulled in every direction. You stay grounded. You stay intentional. This isn't about perfection. You're not going to follow every plan exactly. Life happens. Plans shift. But the fact that you planned it all gives you structure. It gives you direction. It gives you something to come back to when things go off course. Without a plan, you drift. With a plan, you adjust. Use Sunday evening or any quiet moment before your week begins to do this. Turn off the noise. Take out your planner, a calendar, or a notebook. Map out your days. Block time for your key tasks. Review your goals. Schedule your self-care. Prepare your mindset. Do this every week and watch how different your life becomes. You'll feel more in control. You'll waste less time. You'll make stronger decisions because you didn't wait for life to happen. You prepared for it. Number 4, review your goals and dreams out loud. Most people set goals and dreams once, then bury them in a notebook or keep them tucked away in the back of their mind. They think once is enough. They believe setting the goal means they're on the way. But that's not how growth works. If you want your goals to stay alive, you've got to breathe life into them every single week. You've got to bring them back to the front of your mind. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is by reviewing them out loud. Don't just think about your goals. Speak them. Say them with your voice. Hear your own words. When you hear yourself talk about your dreams, you begin to believe in them more. They stop being ideas. They start to feel real. Your words carry weight. When you speak, your mind listens. It starts to align your behavior with what you're saying. Quiet dreams stay small. Spoken dreams grow stronger. This isn't about performing or impressing anyone. You're not saying your goals out loud for someone else. You're doing it for yourself. You're reminding yourself of where you're going and why it matters. There's power in repetition. There's power in being clear. Clarity leads to confidence. Confidence fuels action, and action creates change. But you can't act consistently if you don't stay connected to what you're chasing. Every week, take a few minutes to stand in a quiet room. Look yourself in the mirror, or sit in a chair and say your goals. Speak them with intention. Don't rush through them. Don't just recite a list. Feel them, mean them. Say them with strength. Say them with energy. Say them until you remember why you started in the first place. Say, I want to build a business that supports my family. Say, I'm committed to improving my health this year. Say, my goal is to master this skill because it will change my life. Say what matters to you. Say what drives you. Say what you're working for. Your goals are not just tasks. They're connected to your values, your future, and your sense of purpose. When you speak your goals out loud, you hold yourself accountable. You make a promise to yourself. You declare it. And once it's spoken, it's harder to ignore. Most people don't follow through on their goals because they hide them. They're afraid to say them. They keep them vague. They let them fade. But when you speak your goals, you bring focus and urgency. You remind yourself that these aren't just casual wishes. These are decisions. These are commitments. These are things you're going to fight for. This weekly review also helps you check if your goals are still aligned with where you want to go. Sometimes your direction changes. Sometimes your priorities shift. That's okay, but you won't notice it if you never review them. Speaking your goals forces you to confront them. Is this still what I want? Is this still important to me? Am I making progress? What's getting in the way? These are questions that only come up when you take time to reflect. And doing it out loud makes it harder to lie to yourself. Use this time to reconnect emotionally with your dreams. Don't just state facts. Feel the drive behind each goal. Why is this dream important to you? What would your life look like if you achieved it? How would it feel to reach that point? Let those emotions surface. Let them motivate you. Your dreams have to feel personal. If they don't move you, you won't move toward them. Cold, distant goals don't inspire action, but goals filled with meaning pull you forward. You can also use this moment to reset your mindset. Maybe last week didn't go as planned. Maybe you lost momentum. Maybe you doubted yourself. That's okay. Use this time to get back on track. Speak strength into your week. Say, I'm not giving up. Say, I'm learning and I'm improving. Say, I can handle the work and I will stay focused. These are not just empty phrases. These are mental reminders, and your mind believes what it hears repeatedly, especially when it hears it from you. Reviewing your goals out loud also sharpens your thinking. When you speak, you often realize what's unclear. You'll notice when your goal is too vague or too broad. You'll notice when it lacks steps or urgency. That's a signal to make it better, to make it sharper, to make it something you can act on. This weekly review is not just about remembering. It's about refining. Each time you go through it, your goals become more solid, more real, more actionable. And it's not about how many goals you have. It's about how clear and personal they are. Don't list 10 things you don't care about. Focus on the dreams that matter. Say what you want in your career. Say what you want for your body. Say what you want for your family. Say what kind of person you want to become. Keep it honest. Keep it simple. Keep it consistent. Over time, this habit will change the way you think about your future. Your dreams deserve your attention. They don't belong in the back of your mind. They belong in your voice, in your thoughts, and in your daily actions. And the more often you speak them, the more real they become. When you start your week by reviewing your goals out loud, you don't just remember what you want. You remind yourself who you are becoming. Number 5, do one small task you've been avoiding. We all have something we've been putting off. Maybe it's a simple phone call. Maybe it's cleaning up that corner of your desk. Maybe it's opening an email you've ignored. Maybe it's filling out a form that takes 5 minutes, but feels heavy. The task itself is not overwhelming. What drains your energy is the avoidance. Every time you think about it and decide not to do it, you add weight to your mind. That little thing grows bigger in your head, and it starts following you around during the day. You think about it while eating, while working, even while resting. It becomes a quiet source of stress. Now imagine starting your week by doing that one small thing you've been avoiding. Not because it's exciting, not because it's easy, but because it's time, because you want to step into your week with momentum. There's something powerful about starting strong. It gives you a sense of control. It makes you feel like you're ahead instead of behind. And when you tackle one thing you've been avoiding, You feel a shift inside. You feel lighter. You feel clearer. You prove to yourself that you're not someone who runs from responsibility. You're someone who faces it. You don't need to do everything today. You don't need to finish every goal. Just do one thing, one small task, the one that keeps sitting in the back of your mind. You know exactly what it is. You've thought about it more than once. Maybe it seems too small to matter. Maybe it's so familiar you've grown numb to it. But it matters more than you think. Because every time you avoid it, you train yourself to wait. You reinforce procrastination. But the moment you do it, you train yourself to act. And action builds confidence. It's not about how big the task is. It's about what it represents. When you complete it, you tell your brain, I follow through. I do hard things. I don't let small problems grow into big ones. That's how strength builds. Not in big dramatic wins, but in simple decisions to do what's right even when it's uncomfortable. And if you do this first thing in your week, you set the tone. You say to yourself, this week I'm in charge. I'm not carrying things that can be cleared today. There's something deeply satisfying about crossing off a task that's been hanging over you. That satisfaction doesn't just come from the result. It comes from taking action, from doing something that makes your life just a little bit better. When you avoid something, it becomes noise in your mental space. But when you complete it, you create clarity. And clarity leads to energy. We often think energy comes from rest or motivation, but energy also comes from progress, from movement, from completion. When you finish something you've been delaying, you unlock energy that was being blocked by indecision. And the amazing thing is, it usually takes less time than you feared. The call that felt like a burden takes 5 minutes. The form you avoided is done in 10. The task you feared isn't even that hard. But the longer you avoid it, the bigger it feels. The moment you do it, you shrink it back to size. This weekly habit teaches you not to let fear or laziness lead. You take the wheel. You say, I don't run from little things. And that mindset spills into the rest of your week. You become more decisive. You move quicker. You build trust with yourself. Trust is not just about keeping promises to other people. It's about keeping promises to yourself. And every time you finish a task you once avoided, you build that trust. Think about how many weeks you've carried the same task forward. You said you'd do it last week, then the week before that, and it's still here. That pattern weakens your discipline. But the good news is, you can break, not by doing everything perfectly, just by starting with one, the most stubborn task, the one that's been ignored the longest. Pick that one. Do it first. Do it now. The relief you feel afterward will remind you that the hardest part is just beginning. There's also freedom in finish. Avoided tasks take up space in your life. They create clutter, not always physical, but emotional and mental. Every time you look at that bill, that unopened letter, that unread message, your energy dips. But the moment it's handled, you gain freedom. You don't have to think about it again. You don't have to carry it. You move on with more mental space for things that matter. Start seeing these small tasks, not as chores, but as opportunities. Opportunities to grow stronger, to become more disciplined, to build momentum, to feel accomplished. This is how you raise your standard, not by changing your whole life in a day, but by doing the thing you've been putting off for days. That's how transformation begins. Small, quiet, and steady. Do it without needing to feel motivated. Do it because it's time, because it needs to be done, because it's getting in your way. You don't need fireworks or inspiration. Just 5 focused minutes. Just a choice to stop waiting. Every time you follow through, you become more capable. You build proof that you don't just wish for progress. You create it. Make this your weekly practice. Start your Monday or Sunday by doing that one thing. Before the distractions come, before the day gets busy, choose action over avoidance. Choose strength over delay. Choose to lead your week instead of being dragged by it. And then feel the shift in your mindset, in your attitude, in the way you walk into the rest of your days. Number 6, feed your mind with positive truths. Your mind is the steering wheel of your life. Whatever you allow into it will shape how you think, how you feel, and how you respond to what comes your way. Every week begins with a chance to decide what kind of thoughts you will carry. Will you feed your mind fear or strength? Will you repeat doubts or speak truth to yourself? If you want to build a strong, focused, and resilient mindset, you have to take charge of what enters your mind. Don't leave it to chance. Don't wait for the world to tell you how to think. Start your week by filling your mind with ideas that build you, not break you. Positive truths are not about false hope or shallow motivation. They are the honest, grounded facts that remind you what you are capable of. Things like you've survived every hard day so far. You have choices. Even when life feels stuck, you can grow, you can learn, you can improve. The week ahead is not out of your control. You have power. You have a say in how things unfold. These are not just feel-good ideas. They are reminders of your human strength. And when repeated regularly, they shape your decisions. You can't let social media, the news, or other people decide what lives in your head. If you don't choose your thoughts, someone else will. That's why starting each week with clear, positive, grounded truths is not optional. It's necessary. Before you step into the demands of your schedule, speak to yourself, not with empty praise, but with solid, simple truths that hold you up. Say them out loud. Write them down. Read them again. Your mind listens to repetition. It takes in what you give it over and over again. You feed your body every day without question. You don't wait for hunger to become unbearable. You eat because you know it's fuel. Your mind works the same way. It needs fuel too. And the best fuel is truth. Encouraging truth. Motivating truth. Truth that aligns with who you want to become. You won't feel strong if all you hear is criticism and fear. You won't act boldly if all you think about is failure. You need to feed your thoughts with beliefs that push you forward, not pull you down. It can be as simple as reading a page from a good book that lifts you, or listening to a short speech that reminds you of what matters, or writing down 3 truths that have helped you grow. The method doesn't matter. What matters is that you're intentional about it. Don't start the week in mental fog. Don't walk into Monday with a tired, noisy, distracted mind. Clear it, focus it, strengthen it. Start fresh with positive truth in the front of your mind. And I'm not talking about ignoring your problems. I'm talking about choosing not to let them define your mindset. Life can be hard. Yes, there will be setbacks. Absolutely. But even in those moments, truth gives you something to stand on. Truth says, you've been here before and you didn't quit. Truth says, you're not alone even when it feels like it. Truth says, every day is a chance to change. When you start your week with this kind of thinking, you begin it with clarity and courage. Some people wake up and the first thing they see is negativity. They scroll, they compare, they doubt. And by the time they get to their tasks, their energy is already low. That's not how you build a meaningful life. That's how you stay stuck. Instead, flip the script. Before you check your phone, feed your thoughts with what you need to remember. This week is not a repeat of last week, unless you let it be. You're not trapped. You're not powerless. You're a human being with the ability to think, choose, and move. You don't need to be perfect to speak truth to yourself. You don't have to wait until everything is fixed. You just need to show up and tell yourself what's real. Tell yourself that effort matters, that small steps lead somewhere, that discipline creates change, that focus beats chaos. And tell yourself these things even when you don't feel it. That's the discipline. Not letting your feelings lead the way, but letting truth lead the way. Make this a habit every week. Make it part of your rhythm, like brushing your teeth, like getting dressed, like planning your time. Feeding your mind with truth is just as important. Because if you start the week mentally weak, the week will feel heavier. But if you start the week mentally strong, challenges don't scare you the same way. You become more patient, more determined, more focused, and you respond instead of react. Start with 3 to 5 positive truths that are real for you. Speak them as facts, not just hopes. Say them with clarity. I have what it takes to face this week. I am focused on what I can control. I will not waste energy on what drains me. I am not my mistakes. I will make progress with effort and discipline. These are not fluffy. These are power statements, and they guide your thinking when things get hard. Remember, your thoughts shape your focus, and your focus shapes your behavior. So if you want a better week, you must begin by aiming your thoughts in the right direction. It doesn't take long. 5 to 10 minutes of truth can change the next 5 to 10 hours. That's how influence works. from the inside out. Not waiting for good circumstances, but creating a strong mindset that can lead no matter the circumstances. There will always be reasons to doubt yourself. There will always be noise in the world, but you don't have to let those things grow in your mind. You get to decide what stays. You get to decide what you believe. And if you don't choose truth, your mind will choose something else by default. Fear, distraction, comparison. These are always nearby. That's why truth must be planted on purpose, fed on purpose, repeated on purpose. The beginning of the week is a fresh moment, a clean slate, a chance to lead your life in the direction you want it to go. And it starts not with actions, but with thoughts. Strong actions follow strong belief. And strong beliefs are built by feeding your mind with what is true, steady, and helpful. You don't need to overcomplicate this. You don't need to have everything figured out. Just begin with truth. Speak it, read it, think it, and let that truth carry you forward through every part of your week. Number 7, take care of your health first thing. The first decision you make every week sends a message to your body and your mind about what matters most. If you choose to start with movement, with nourishment, with rest, or with something that supports your health, you're saying to yourself that your well-being is not optional. You're telling yourself that how you feel physically matters. And if your body is weak, tired, or neglected, the rest of your goals will suffer. There is no substitute for health. You can't buy it later. You can't trade time for it when you've already burned out. That's why the very first thing you should do at the start of every week is take care of your health. Don't wait until you're sick or run down. Don't wait until your body gives you signs that it's tired of being ignored. You need strength, clarity, and energy to face your work, your relationships, your goals, and your responsibilities. And none of those can be approached with a full heart if your body is running on fumes. This is not about building a perfect body. This is about building a body that can support the life you want to live. And that begins every week, not when it's convenient, but when it's needed most, right at the start. When you take care of your health first thing, you stop putting it last. Too many people treat their bodies like an afterthought. They work themselves to the ground, fuel themselves with junk, skip sleep, avoid movement, and then wonder why they feel anxious, tired, or out of control. Your health habits are not separate from your mindset. They are deeply connected. A tired body leads to a tired mind. A neglected body leads to lower motivation, lower focus, and less discipline. If you want to win your week, you have to show up ready to function, not just survive. It doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be intense, but it has to be intentional. When you wake up on that first day of the week, ask yourself this: what will give me strength today? What will help me think clearly? What will help me feel steady and focused? Maybe it's drinking water before anything else. Maybe it's a short walk to get your body moving. Maybe it's stretching, deep breathing, or preparing a meal that fuels you instead of draining you. The form isn't the issue. The commitment is. Starting your week by taking care of your health builds discipline. It shows that you're not living by reaction, but by choice. And when you choose to prioritize your body, you also strengthen your ability to say no to distractions. You're less likely to fall apart under pressure. You're more likely to move through the day with energy instead of just pushing through with frustration. People think discipline is just about schedules and routines, but real discipline begins with how you treat yourself, and that includes your physical health. Think about how different your week feels when you start it feeling rested, hydrated, clear-headed, and strong. Compare that to the weeks where you start groggy, bloated, or stiff. The contrast is huge. You don't need to be extreme. You don't need to spend hours in the gym or follow some trend. What you need is to create a ritual at the beginning of each week that centers your health. Something you do without excuse. Something you protect with seriousness. Something that anchors you. Because when your body feels good, you make better decisions. You speak more clearly. You handle stress with more patience. You walk into your work with presence instead of anxiety. But when your body feels off, everything takes more effort. You second guess more. You struggle to stay focused. You snap quicker. And your productivity drops even if you try to push harder. That's why your health is not a side task. It's the foundation that holds everything up. No matter how full your calendar is, your body still needs movement. No matter how urgent your goals feel, your mind still needs sleep. No matter how many demands you face, your system still needs nutrients. And none of that is optional if you want to live and work with consistency. You can't serve your family, your team, or your vision if your body is depleted. The strongest people are not the ones who burn out and keep going. They're the ones who learn how to protect their energy before it's gone. There is no honor in running yourself into the ground. You don't earn more respect by ignoring your physical needs. If anything, that habit sets you back. The world is already exhausting enough. You don't need to make it harder by skipping the one thing that gives you the energy to show up well. Make your health your first priority every week, not your backup plan. Not something you'll do once everything else is done. The first step. If you're serious about building a better week, start with yourself. Not just your thoughts, not just your to-do list, but your body. Ask yourself, am I rested enough to think clearly? Have I given my body the fuel it needs to perform today? Have I stretched, moved, or done something to loosen up tension? These questions are not luxury. They're survival tools. Because your performance, your creativity, and your relationships are all better when you feel well. There are people who achieve big goals without caring for their health, but they pay for it. Sooner or later, the body catches up. And when it does, it doesn't care how impressive your work ethic was. It demands repair. That's why the smart ones don't wait. They don't say, I'll rest when I'm done. They say, if I don't rest, I won't finish. If I don't care for my body, I can't sustain the life I'm trying to build. Take care of your health before you sit down to plan, before you start answering messages, before you rush into tasks. That's the discipline. Not checking things off first, but preparing yourself to move with strength. When you do this regularly, you stop feeling like life is pulling you around. You start moving with direction, with awareness, with energy that doesn't crash halfway through the day. That's how you build momentum. That's how you gain control. That's how you stay consistent when the week gets tough. Don't wait for the pain of ignoring your body to wake you up. Make the decision now that your body matters, that your energy matters, that the first thing you do every week will be something that strengthens you, not something that drains you. And the more you do this, the more your body will reward you with clarity, with strength, with steadiness. That's how you start strong. That's how you keep going. That's how you live a life that actually works. Number 8, decide who you'll encourage this week. When a new week begins, most people think about what they want to get, what they want to fix, or what they need to handle. That's fine, but there's another layer to a great life, and that's asking who you'll lift up. When you take a moment to decide who you'll encourage, you shift your focus from just your own pressure to the people around you who might be struggling, doubting, or drifting. And sometimes, the act of encouraging someone else is the very thing that strengthens you. Encouragement is not a speech. It's not about being loud or poetic. It's about making someone feel seen. It's about saying a few words that help someone breathe a little deeper. Maybe they've been overlooked for weeks. Maybe they're carrying something heavy you don't even know about. Maybe they just haven't heard anyone say you matter or you're doing better than you think. One message of encouragement, especially when it's unexpected, can shift a person's entire direction. You don't have to wait until someone breaks down to show care. You don't have to wait for the perfect words. You just need to make a conscious decision. Who will I encourage this week? Make it specific. Don't say everyone. Choose one person, maybe two. Someone in your family, a teammate, a friend you haven't spoken to in a while, a young person who looks up to you, an older person who's feeling forgotten. Maybe someone you don't even know very well but notice often. They don't have ask. They don't need to earn it. You just give it because it matters. Sometimes we get caught up in thinking life is all about accomplishing goals and hitting targets. But when you look back on a month, or a year, or even a decade, you won't remember all your checklists. You'll remember moments, conversations, connection, and many of those are born from one act of encouragement. When you give encouragement, you don't lose anything. It's not like giving money. You don't end up with less. In fact, you often walk away feeling richer, more human, more connected. You might think, well, I'm still figuring out my own life. How can I encourage someone else? But that's the point. You're not pretending to have it all together. You're not offering perfection. You're offering presence. And you know what it's like to feel unsure. You know what it's like to feel tired. That's why your encouragement means something. It comes from understanding. And people don't always need a solution. Sometimes they just need to know they're not invisible. A text, a short call, a note, or a moment of genuine eye contact where you say, I believe in you. can go further than you imagine. Encouragement is rare because everyone's rushing, everyone's focused on their own way. But if you pause, if you take a few minutes to be intentional, to look beyond yourself, you'll notice how many people are waiting for someone to speak life into them. Not everyone will say they need it, but many are walking around on empty, hoping someone sees their effort. And there's another benefit. When you become someone who encourages others, you attract better people. You raise the standard in your relationships. You stop getting pulled into complaints and negativity. You create an atmosphere around you where growth happens more naturally. People feel safer to be honest. They stop pretending. They open up, and they also start encouraging you back. Not because you asked, but because you led by example. You don't need to force it. You don't need a script. You just need a moment of attention. Pay attention to who's been quiet lately, who's been working hard but staying unnoticed, who's been pulling back, avoiding conversation, or hesitating when they used to be confident. That's your signal. Reach out. Say something real. I've been noticing how consistent you've been. I just want to say I appreciate the way you handled that. I don't know what you're going through, but I believe you've got the strength to get through it. Those aren't fancy words. They're simple and they're powerful. There are people who live their whole week without hearing a single kind word, and you have the power to change that. You don't need permission. You don't need a reason. Encouragement doesn't wait for a holiday. It shows up in the middle of a hard week. It interrupts stress. It creates room for hope. And often it starts a chain reaction, because someone who's encouraged is more likely to pass it on. And don't forget yourself in this process. Encouraging others doesn't mean ignoring your own needs. In fact, many people feel more grounded and alive when they're not only thinking about their own challenges. When you step outside of your own storm to bring light to someone else, you get stronger too. You build a deeper sense of purpose, and that purpose gives you clarity. Especially on those days when everything feels fee. If you're serious about beginning your week strong, make encouragement part of the plan. Just like you write down your goals and tasks. Write down the name of someone you'll reach out to. Make it a priority, not a leftover thought. Because lives aren't changed just through productivity. They're changed through connection. And when someone remembers that you reached out, that you cared, that you spoke strength into their doubt, they carry that with them far longer than you think. Decide now, before the noise of the week picks up, before the distractions hit. Decide who you'll encourage. And when that moment comes, when they're tired or quiet, or doubting themselves, you'll be ready. You'll have the words. You'll have the heart. And your small action will create a bigger impact than you'll ever fully realize. Number 9. Choose one thing to learn this week. If you want to grow, if you want to stay alive in your mind, you need to keep learning. And the best way to do that is not by overwhelming yourself with 10 new things, but by choosing just one. Pick one thing to learn this week. Not 10, not 5, just one. And not because someone told you to. Do it because you know deep down that progress matters. When you choose one specific thing to learn, your mind has something clear to focus on. It sharpens your awareness. It brings purpose to your time. Learning isn't about cramming your schedule with books or lectures. It's about building your understanding step by step. You don't have to be in school to learn something valuable. Some of the most powerful lessons come outside of a classroom. You could choose to learn a new skill that helps your career. You could decide to understand a part of your health that you've been ignoring. You could dig into improving your communication. Or maybe this is the week you finally learn how to manage your time better. It could be as small as learning how to set better boundaries, or as practical as understanding how to cook healthier meals. The topic doesn't have to be huge. What matters is that it means something to you. Start your week by asking yourself, what am I curious about? What am I struggling with? What's something I wish I understood better? Then make a decision. One thing. That's it. Now the key is, once you've chosen it, don't wait. Don't think you need hours of free time. You don't need a big course. You need 5 or 10 minutes here and there. You need attention. You need to show up for yourself with interest. The beauty of learning one thing at a time is that it actually sticks. You remember it. You use it. And when you use it, you grow. You're not trying to be a genius by Friday. You're simply trying to be better than you were last Monday. And that's how real improvement works. Bit by bit, week by week, layer by layer. You give yourself time to absorb, to apply, to reflect. You might say, but I don't know where to start. The truth is, you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to choose one direction. Start with a podcast. Read a chapter of a book. Watch a reliable video. Take notes in your own words. The goal is not just to listen or read. The goal is to understand, even if just one part. Learning is about building clarity in your thinking. It's about becoming more capable in your life. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. Choosing one thing to learn isn't just about knowledge. It's about self-respect. It's you saying, I matter enough to keep improving. And when you adopt that mindset, week after week, your confidence begins to change. You carry yourself differently. You speak with more weight. You approach your challenges with a little more strategy. That's not magic. That's the result of quiet, consistent learning. Now here's something important. Don't just pick something random because it sounds impressive. Choose something you care about, something that fits the season you're in. If you're dealing with stress, maybe it's time to learn how to relax your nervous system. If your relationships are strained, maybe you need to learn how to listen better or express yourself more clearly. If you're bored at work, maybe it's time to learn a new skill that adds meaning to your day. Tailor your learning to your life. That's how it becomes better. Learning also forces you to slow down in the right way. It makes you more present. You're not just reacting to problems. You're building yourself for future situations. You're investing in your character. And when you begin to see how much more capable you've become, not because someone handed it to you, but because you worked for it, that brings a quiet kind of pride, a healthy one, a sense that you are no longer standing still. Some people go through an entire year without learning a single new thing. They repeat the same day over and over again. But not you. You've made a decision to be intentional. You've decided that learning is not optional. It's part of who you are becoming. And once that identity takes root, you don't need to push yourself as much. The desire comes more naturally. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to be engaged. And when you're engaged in learning, your mind doesn't feel dull. You become more alert. You start seeing connections between things. You ask better questions. You start recognizing patterns. That makes you sharper in your decisions and quicker in your problem solving. And remember, you're not doing this for applause. No one needs to see it. This isn't for social media. This is personal. This is you building the inner structure of your life. And while it may not be flashy, it's the kind of work that shows up later in how you think, how you act, how you handle stress, and how you lead others. You get to choose how you grow. You're not locked into who you've been. And one of the most effective ways to grow is by learning with purpose. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect resource. Pick your subject, pick your method, and begin. Just one thing, just one focus. That's all it takes to make this week one that moves you forward. Keep showing up to that learning moment every day, even if it's just for a short time. Over a year, 52 new lessons could shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more prepared. That all starts with one choice this week. One thing to learn, one lesson to understand, one decision to grow. Number 10, commit to showing up, no matter what. The difference between people who move forward in life and people who stay stuck is often this. One group keeps showing up, even when it's hard, even when they're tired, even when they don't feel like it. That commitment, that decision to be present no matter how you feel, that's what builds character. And that's what you've got to do if you want to make your week count. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about refusing to give yourself an easy way out every time things get uncomfortable. When you start your week, you've got to decide that you'll be there. You'll show up for your goals. You'll show up for the small step. You'll show up when the energy is high. And you'll show up when motivation disappears. And I'm not talking about pretending to feel great when you don't. I'm talking about doing what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. That's maturity. That's discipline. And that's how you build something real. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you lose a little trust in who you are. But every time you show up when it's difficult, you gain back that belief. You prove to yourself that you can count on you. That matters more than motivation. That matters more than talent. It means when life throws distractions your way, you've already decided that nothing will pull you off track. Most people don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they quit showing up. They let feelings decide their effort. They wait for things to feel right. They hope to be inspired. But the truth is, success doesn't come from waiting. It comes from moving, from taking action even when your emotions try to talk you out of it. You won't always feel ready. That's normal. But readiness isn't the standard. Showing up is. You can't just commit to results. You have to commit to the process. And part of the process is being there when it's boring. Being there when it's slow. Being there when nobody else is watching. Showing up doesn't always mean doing big things. Sometimes it means doing the ordinary things consistently. You don't need to sprint. You need to keep going. Over time, that's what creates progress. You might not control everything that happens to you this week. People might disappoint you. Plans might shift. Unexpected problems might appear. But your job is still the same. Show up. With focus. With effort. With intention. You're not showing up to impress anyone. You're showing up because your future deserves it. You're showing up because your habits shape your life. And if you want a strong life, you need strong habits. That begins with showing up. It's easy to make excuses. It's easy to say you're too tired, too busy, too overwhelmed. And sometimes those feelings are valid. But you've got to remember, discipline doesn't wait for the perfect conditions. Discipline gets to work, even if it's just 15 minutes, even if it's just doing the minimum. Showing up doesn't always mean giving 100%. It means giving what you can, even when that number is lower than usual. That's what keeps you in the game. When you build the habit of showing up, you begin to see results others never will. Not because you're more talented, but because you refused to stop. You stayed the course when they stepped off it. You said yes to the hard days, not just the easy ones. You trained your mind to follow through. That kind of strength gets built over time. But it starts now, at the beginning of your week, with a decision to be there. And don't wait for other people to remind you why it matters. Take ownership of that. You've got to be the one to remind yourself. You've got to be the one to keep your commitment alive. If you said this week matters, then act like it. If you set a goal, then protect it. If you made a plan, then respect it. Even if it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. Your life will be shaped more by your consistency than your intensity. Anybody can get excited for a day or two, but the person who makes real progress is the one who keeps going even when no one is cheering. You won't always see quick results. That's okay. The goal isn't speed. The goal is to keep the promise, 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time. You've got to be there for yourself, even when you don't see the full picture. And you know what happens when you live this way. People start to count on you. You become someone others can trust. Your discipline inspires others. Your consistency helps your family. Your follow-through builds your reputation. But more than anything, it changes how you see yourself. You become someone who follows through. Someone who doesn't need perfect motivation. Someone who builds momentum by choosing to show up again and again. And that's a powerful thing. When life gets noisy, you stay clear. When things get messy, you stay grounded. Because you've trained yourself not to rely on mood. You've trained yourself to rely on values, on decision, on commitment. You're not driven by how you feel. You're driven by what you decided matters. That's a powerful place to live from. Don't worry about having the perfect week. Focus on having an honest one. Focus on being the kind of person who shows up, whether it's convenient or not. That's where strength is built. That's how your life begins to shift. That's how you rise. Not once, but over and over again. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop waiting for the right conditions. You wake up and you move forward, because that's who you are now. Someone who shows up, no matter what.